In the beginning of this week's parasha, Parshas Vayikra, the Torah tells us about the parasha, the mitzvah of bringing a korban olah. It's interesting to note that after the Torah describes how one brings the korban olah, one shefts it, one does the various things that need to be done to a korban in order to prepare it to go onto the mizbeach, in the middle, in Perek Aleph Pasuk Zayin, the Pasuk tells us, "V'nosnu b'nei Aaron hakohen eish al hamizbeach, v'orchu eitzim al eish." It starts to tell us how the kohanim have to prepare the fire on the mizbeach. And this is interesting because if one looks at the order of how things were done in the Beis HaMikdash, one will notice that the fire was lit on the Mizbeach before they prepared the korban to go on the Mizbeach. So why is it that we first talk here about the preparation of the korban and suddenly in the middle throw in the concept of lighting a fire? The fire was lit beforehand, and it had to be lit beforehand in order that the service with the sacrifice could be done once the fire was already alight. Says Rav Shimshon of Al-Hirsch, you're right. Of course the fire had to be lit and had to be alight beforehand, and it was there in order to burn the korban. But in order that we shouldn't make a mistake and think that the only reason there's a fire there is in order to have something with which to burn the korban, and the fire is only there in order to help us do the service of the korban, but in itself it's not got any service alone. Says Rav Shimshon of Al-Hirsch, no, we stick this in the middle of the parasha to show us that lighting of the fire itself is in itself a service, in itself an avodah. And what's the message over here? He says the lighting of the fire is here to show us that don't think you can get away with getting the korban devoured in any other way, and don't think that the lighting of the fire is only in order to get rid of the korban but nothing in its own. The fire here is representing the fire of Torah, and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to show us is that there's no service that can be done without realizing that the fire of Torah is the be-all and end-all, and that is the description, and that is from where we learn how to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One can have a fire alight, but one has to realize that it's the fire itself, the fire of Torah, that lights up the way to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So over here, the Torah, instead of just saying, light a fire, and then use that to burn the korban, but the ikka is the burning of the korban, the ikka is connecting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the main thing. The fire is there just to help you, says the Torah, no. The fire is what shows you how to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's an integral part of the avodah. It's an integral part of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Another point of understanding what this fire is all about, that it represents Torah. The fire used to come down from heaven anyway. We didn't need to light a fire, yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu still wanted us to light that fire. To show us another concept and another idea in Avodas Hashem, that of course HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us Siyat Dishmaya. Of course in the end of the day the ability to understand and learn Torah comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But He wants our effort. He wants our effort, our bit to understand the Torah, and our understanding as well that it's the Torah that's our guide, that it itself, the learning of the Torah itself is the guide, and that's what shows us how to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu.